Welcome back again, citizens. This is Matt from the Madrealm, and today we're going to be talking about the recent changes that are impacting Multicrew and how group play just got a little bit better. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and consider subscribing. With 3.14 bringing in missile operator mode, capacitors, improved turret gameplay, and the promise of some Xenothreat and Ninetale events on the horizon, I think it's important to talk about how you can now group up with a handful of friends and actually get some decent content out of Star Citizen. Prior to 3.14 hitting PTU, I would often sit in a CoPilot seat while hanging out with friends in the verse and just think, man, I can't wait until the day I can fire missiles and manage power and shields from this position. That day isn't exactly here, but in the current build we can finally manage missiles from the CoPilot position of most ships. With the addition of that one active role, there are now quite a few ships that will be benefiting greatly. Before I get ahead of myself, I think it would be good to first recap all of the major changes to how your other crew members are going to be interacting with your ship. Missile Operator Mode is one of the most meaningful changes to come in 3.14. This affects all pilots and some co-pilot seats. The first and most noticeable change is the complete overhaul of the way you can view your current missiles loadout. There's a much nicer display for showing the viable range for missiles, and you can easily increase or decrease the amount of missiles per salvo. No more spamming your middle mouse button to get all your launchers locked and then holding it down. Now you can also dummy fire missiles and torpedoes to try for those well-timed skill shots without locking on. It's not something I would see as particularly useful in a dogfight, but running a bombing run on a cap ship makes it sound a lot more interesting. One small problem I've noticed, however, is that ships like Constellations render the CoPilot stations almost unusable due to the computer panel in your face. Maybe if you could add an option to tuck it away in Missile Operator Mode CIG, that would be great. Turret positions have been significantly improved as well, and most of this is due to the changes that have come to weapons and how turrets interact with them. For example, the pilot's position has a lot less power available through the weapon's capacitors when you compare it to the turret. Now, I really like this change because it gives you a reason to focus on keeping your turrets on target instead of always just be staring at it as the pilot. For example, loading out 2 NBDs and 2 Panthers on the front of my Cutlass gave me a total of around 38 shots per laser repeater, where the turret on top with 2 Panthers has around 250 shots each. This additional capacitor power also means that they can recharge much faster, leading to even less downtime for the turret gunners. Shields and the power triangle also received a huge rework in this patch, and some ships have received different shields than they were previously using, such as the Constellation has a size 3 now, but since that doesn't really tie into Multicrew just yet, I'd like to discuss those in a different video covering combat changes. Once this patch hit Wave 1, I was immediately in and testing a lot of the different ways that Multicrew can work now in 3.14. Ships like the Hurricane, Gladiator, and Cutlass really shine as a result of all of this work. The way I see it, if you're running with 2 people, you'll want to make sure to just use a 2-person ship, as the pilot can still take full advantage of Missile Operator Mode. I tried testing out the Super Hornet, and it seems like because the weapon on top is still tied to the pilot, and the missiles are also tied to the pilot, the co-pilot seat's pretty much useless. The Gladiator felt a lot better, and the Eclipse seems good with Missile Operator Mode as well, but I haven't run a fully crewed Retaliator yet, so let me know down below if you have, because I get a feeling it's going to be pretty strong now with the turret buff. The Constellation in 3.14 I think is actually a great example of a lot of the progress from the last few patches all coming together to make a really good experience. I was crewing a Connie the other night with 2 of our community members, and the combination of improved turrets, Missile Operator Mode, and ship-to-ship docking from the last patch actually led to some really cool encounters, so we went out and did some group bounty hunting. Now, I was using the Merlin at this point because it's the stock snub that comes with the Constellation. This was the second bounty we had gotten to at this point, and the Merlin had no ammo left in the Gatling cannon, so I shifted a little more power to the weapons. This gave me a little more firepower and a little faster weapons regen. So immediately I undock the Merlin and take off towards our target, diving straight into the first M50 that I see so that it doesn't go over there and, completely harass the Constellation, since it's never going to be able to keep up with it. The Connie crew actually did a really good job of annihilating the first target with some missiles, thanks to Missile Operator Mode, and then the gunner took on the second target as I was finishing off the shields of the M50. So we're still missing a crew member for the bottom turret, but by the time I took out the interceptor, we were done and I was ready to get docked back up to the ship. You know, the Merlin's taken a fair amount of damage at this point, and it needs to be rearmed because the Gatling cannon's out of ammo, and we could use a resupply on missiles as well, so we decided to fly it back over to Everest. I've sped up and cut some parts of the footage to save time, but from docking to undocking, it only took us about 2.5 minutes, with half of that pretty much being flight time from leaving Quantum. So let's assume, at this point, we have physicalized inventories, repair, salvage, engineering, and instead of just 3 of us, there's 5, like a typical MMO party size. As our engineer goes about fixing any minor damage the Connie sustained and patches up the Merlin, maybe he could even refill the Tiger Strike's ammo. During that downtime, the Merlin pilot and one of the gunners could then EVA on out and salvage some ship components and other valuables with hand tools and load those parts onto the Constellation. While the crew is out and about in space, the pilot, the co-pilot, and the remaining gunner can just stay on duty, scanning and watching for any threats that may come to avenge their friends that we just took out. Now, I know there's quite a while until we're going to get to that point, but it really seems much closer than ever before, and I think when you take a look at something like the Connie, it really does do a good job of showing how all these different patches can work together. Now, I know this one's been a shorter video, but I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there really quick. Thank you for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like and consider subscribing to see more. I had to take a break from content creation, so the algorithm isn't really happy with me right now, and I need to feed that monster. I also want to thank all my patrons for your incredibly generous support. I really couldn't do it without you. That's all from me, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out of here.